Please subscribe to our channel, and for latest updates, don't forget to press the bell button.
Thank you. The picture, please. Picture. Picture, please.
Sir, Khalid sir, one picture.
Picture. Okay.
Sir, one standing picture, please. Sir, standing picture.
Standing.
Sir, please. आइए सर.
Yes, sir.
जायचं यहाँ पे.
Thank you.
हट गया. कपूर है बेटा. सर कपूर साहब. सर यहाँ पे लेफ्ट साइड. कपूर साहब. सर यहाँ पे सर. कपूर साहब यहाँ पे. ये क्या है? लेफ्ट साइड में सर. कपूर साहब. कपूर साहब यहाँ पे. अनिल सर. यहाँ पे. कपूर साहब यहाँ पे. अनिल सर. सर लेफ्ट साइड. सर सामने. थैंक यू सर. सर इधर राइट. सर राइट है. सर.
Please make away. थोड़ा जगह दे दो.
क्या कर रहे थे? कि जो आ गया तेरा कैमरा नीचे. चलो पीछे स्टोर देगी. अच्छा. Karan sir, food. यहाँ पे आइए सर. Arvind. बैग से बूमर वायर निकल के बूमर वायर निकल के सर यहाँ पे
I need a picture. Oh my God! How are you? Yeah, actually got on.
Around and not being seen.
That was both. What's up? There.
I think we might go. That's a long time. Good. What you have to do? 100 things.
He can't move.
Yeah. She's good. She's good.
तुमच्यावर आहे बरं का थोड़ा पीछे आ जाओ ये देखो इनका भी आ रहा है
क्या समझ में नहीं आया
थोड़ा सा अंदर आइए पिछले
खाली तो लेफ्ट में भी आता है।
सर सामने
सर लेफ्ट में भी आप कर।
सर सामने थैंक यू एक
क्या पता?
हाँ थैंक यू
Okay, thank
थैंक यू
That I know. But why is that? What is that?
चलो
Okay, can we start?
May I welcome our LC with live audience. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for joining us today for the launch of Om Books International's latest title, Khalid Mohamed'S debut novel, The Aladia Sisters. Om Books International has already had the twin privilege of publishing Khalid's debut collection of stories, Two Mothers and Other Stories, and another collection of slice of life stories called Faction Put Together by Her. Some very special people have taken a break from their hectic schedules to be here today. Javed Akhtar, Asha Parekh ji, Lalita Lazmi ji, your unparalleled achievements in your respective fields continue to inspire us, and you have given us enough reason to look forward to more from you. Anil Kapoor ji, thank you for adding to the warmth and richer. In the course of this evening, I hope Khalid and I shall jointly succeed in persuading you to share your own inspirational journey with the readers. Director, producer, TV show host, and writer Karan Johar, a man of many achievements with the Midas touch, has flown in today from a shoot, especially for this event. We all look forward to a special touch during your interaction with the star of this evening, Khalid Mohammed. I have known Khalid.
Hello. So, I'm not supposed to say too much. I'm supposed to have a conversation with my three dear friends here. And एक बच्चा है, एक में से थोड़ा ज़रा उम्र में ज़्यादा है, और एक सबसे छोटा है, Anil. Okay, so please invite Karan. And would you like to say a few words on this?
Across the book we
No, I should introduce Khalid.
Oh,
No.
You have something.
Yes, she's going to introduce.
I'm just going to say a few words which are not enough for Mr. Karan Johar, but yeah, something that I've written down. So we are fortunate enough to have him here, the incomparable Mr. Karan Johar, the eminently suitable man who has excelled in so many diverse fields, as we all know. Continuing the awesome legacy of Dharma Productions, bequeathed to him by his father, that Yash Johar. He has done his father super proud. He is a mega star maker who gives hope to aspirants and daydreamers. To share a couple, we have also lucked out with the presence of the actor for all seasons, the outstanding Mr. Anil Kapoor, our very own Mr. India. A super gifted actor and star, Anil sir, who is incurably self-effacing, considers himself a student of cinema, despite of winning countless awards and our unstinted admiration. Perhaps I'll be echoing the sentiment of all when I say, Anil sir, you rock and are an inspiration for fitness and fabulousness. Book lovers, let's put our hands together for them. With that,
And request Karan to call Javed sir on stage, please.
Thank you for those wonderful words that you shared about AK and me. No, that was I'm the one who has written.
Surprise appearance.
No, I have written.
yeah,
Well, I have actually been, I asked for this absolute honor to introduce this legend of a man.
exactly, that's why
And what do I say about Javed Saab? He's like a father to me. I've grown up in his august presence, and I say this very proudly in the month of October. Javed Saab is what do I say, a bona fide legend, a wordsmith, someone who's crafted eras of Indian cinema, has created movie stars and characters that still breathe in the annals of Indian cinema. Javed Saab is actually not just an individual, not just an artist, but an entire institution. An institution, a legacy that his proud children have taken forward with strength and continue to do so. Every word that he has ever created, every sentence that he's ever written, every single nuance that he's brought to Indian cinema, to literature, to poetry, is something that will always be irreplaceable. Javed Saab, as in Javed Akhtar, is irreplaceable. Ladies and gentlemen, I give to you the living legend, Javed Akhtar.
All right. Mr. Margo's going to sing, so please join us. Yes. Okay, sorry. Lights too strong. So Karan, I'm leaving it all up to you.
I am actually very happy that you are doing that.
Thank you.
Just speedens the process.
No, it will last longer because we have very short speeches written
Oh.
and we're dispensing the ceremony and speeches.
All right,
And
great. So, Khalid, you need to sit down first because you're the man of the moment.
okay.
Give it up for Khalid Mohammed, ladies and gentlemen.
Thank you, Khalid sir. Karan sir, thank you so much for this lovely speech. May we request Anil sir to say something now?
Well, what do I say? It's an honor to be on this dais. Of course, what Karan said for Javed Saab. Today I'm here standing in front of you all because of him. And if it was not for Javed Saab, I wouldn't be here. The journey started with Javed Saab and Mashal and still continues. I'm like a family member. And as I've always looked up to him, and it's an honor to be on the same dais with Javed Saab. Khalid, of course, is a dear friend since many, many years, and still remains a very, very close friend, and I hope that we all are friends forever. Thank you, Khalid, for inviting me. Karan, well, I knew his dad very well, and I always wanted to work with his dad, but we could never work, but now I'm working with him. I'm very happy that we're in
your book lovers. You've been a wonderful
Javed
audience.
Saab, एक minute. Sorry. I'd like to say many words.
Thank you very much. And a very good evening to you, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for inviting me, Khalid. Khalid is a very, very old friend. And I knew him before meeting him through his reviews. And obviously they were not only incisive and analytical, but extremely witty. And if you can write well, you will write always well. So I have not read the novel, but I will. So at the moment I can't talk about it because I have realized that human brain is a strange thing. You know, it starts working before you are born. And it keeps working. Even when you are sleeping, the brain works. It starts dreaming and so on. But the only time the brain stops working is when you try to talk about a book that you have not read. So I'm in that situation. So my best wishes to Khalid. And thank you very much, Karan, for saying such wonderful things about me, and thank you, Anil. And for a while I was getting confused whether he has written the novel or I have written the novel. So let's get rid of this idea. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Thank you, Javed Saab. Before I plunge into this chat, which is a freewheeling chat, and with all apologies, we're going to keep it candid, so that because that's the spirit of Khalid Mohammed. Even though he tries to look very dapper in his grey suit, there's a candor, candidness, and there's a, well, I won't say the other adjective that is floating in my head right now, because it's a very civilized event. I want to date back and quickly say.
I want to know the word.
No, I'll tell you, I'll message it to you later. I want to start by saying that Khalid is one of my, not oldest literally, but one of the closest people I knew when I was 12 years old. I became really close to Khalid, and one of the few people I know who's attended my parents' wedding. And my absolute admiration for Khalid began when I started reading his reviews, because they were not only, like Javed Saab mentioned, analytical, and they were completely academic in their approach to cinema, but they were hysterical, they were funny. And today, when you read Me Too's and Me Threes and Me 33s of reviewers who are actually trying to kind of circumvent analysis with humor, you realize that the origin of that is actually here, Khalid Mohammed. He was the first person, actually, when it comes to media, that began writing about cinema with a sense of humor. Of course, sense of humor was invariably at the cost of the film and the filmmakers, but that's just, I suppose it's more fun when you watch a bad film. It's no fun praising a great piece of work, because then all you do is praise it.
I praised Kabhi Khushi Ho Gayi.
Yeah, you did, thank you. I think there was bias there, but I adore that bias. So I got really good reviews from Khalid, and maybe that's because the reason why I'm sitting here. But I have to say that Khalid truly was a force of nature where it came to media and journalism, and continues to be. Sometimes dormant, sometimes active, but always a force of nature. So Khalid, congratulations for everything you've achieved in screenwriting, in media, and now as a novelist. So I have to ask you first, that you've done it all, written it all, been there, done that, as they say. But what was, and I know that this is a compilation of pieces and parts of your life, your childhood, your memories, your lineage and legacy, but what was that one point, or rather I would say that immediate source of inspiration that actually prompted you to put down the Aladia sisters?
Well, Karan, I think the force behind you is really your dad, Yashji, and now your mom, Hirudi. So my force has been my grandmother. And the book is dedicated to all the grandmothers of the world, because I was brought up by her. So, but this is not their story. I've already told it in Mamu, Sadari Begum and Zubaida. So I've gone out of my body and mind and investigated a lot of Muslim women. Women I knew from childhood, and subjected them to an investigation. Of course, I was speaking to Javed Saab about the novel, so he says, even Prince Charming, when you tell it, has its own little subjective interpretation. Or Sleeping Beauty, there is a bit of me in it. Or Again, to borrow his words, you may take someone's nose, you may take someone's eyes, you may take someone's lips and body and create a whole new person. So this may be read as an autobiographical book, but it is not, and it is. So I'll leave that mystery to the reader.
Well, wonderful. I think that's where, I think everything exciting is where you can actually read between the lines, have your own interpretation about the author, and of course the atmosphere created in the book. Now, when I read about the book, I know that there's a very strong feminist slant. And having known you for decades now, I know that you've been a strong feminist yourself. Pivotal characters in your films have always projected women in such solid lead parts. Now, I know Javed Saab is an incredible feminist himself. In fact, I would say that even in the times of Indian cinema, you know, where the concept of women empowerment and being a feminist was not a concept that was addressed, and it should have been. Javed Saab always gave very strong parts to the women. They were working professionals. They balanced profession and emotion in equal measure. Javed Saab, as a feminist yourself, how do you reflect on writing today, where it comes to, and not just this novel, in generally the approach of how women are projected today in literature and even in cinema?
Honestly, we have come a long way, and we have still to go a long way, but the situation has totally changed. I mean, say in 60s, the ideal woman was मैं चुप रहूंगी, or Sahara, and now that is rejected. But I suppose society is on a curve, the turning of the road. We are still not very clear what is the image of a contemporary woman. It is slowly coming into focus, I must say, but there is a lot of confusion about it. You see, the liberal gets very scared in giving a final definition because he feels that somebody will out-liberal him. On the other hand, the conservatives are scared to define her because they feel that they will lose a lot of territory. But there is a debris. At the moment, I see a lot of debris because the old structure has been demolished and the new structure is under construction. It is coming up. In some of the film, I'm sorry that she's my daughter, but the fact is that I see that modern woman in Zoya's film. That this is the contemporary real person of today. Otherwise, in one of these films, if you will insist, I'll tell you which film, but...
I insist.
Okay, in Jab Tak Hai Jaan, the heroine says that I'll get married after sleeping with one man of every nationality of the world. Now, this bravado was only to tell that I don't care. I don't bother, I have the courage to say anything outrageous. But I mean, to be an empowered woman, you don't have to be so hardworking. So I feel that there is a lot of confusion. Like you will notice that in girls, the percentage of smoking is increasing. I mean, I suppose nicotine is as bad for feminine lungs as for masculine lungs. But these are the wrong expressions. These are a kind of rebellion without a cause, rebel without a cause. They are finding that, I mean, I am not running it down because the pendulum which moved, now it has moved on the other side, but it will find its balance. And I do see that balance in a couple of duets.
When you say rebel without a cause, and sometimes, well, with one, I think of Khalid and his writing in the earlier days, or when he was a critique. How do you react today, Javed Saab, and I have to ask you, and I will ask Anil that question as well, is how do you react to when a critic gets into, and this is just purely because you're such an astute and your emotional quotient is so high, how do you react to when a critic himself is now going to be open to criticism? Now, he has been a screenwriter and he's written some very credible pieces of work, and now he's in a totally different terrain. And you know, there is a thing, there is a psyche that surrounds us that like, these people write anything, but you know, like, tell them to go write a film, which is an unjustified accusation because that's the job. A critic is meant to then, you know, point out and analyze the piece of work. Now he's going to be open to criticism. What is your take and thought on that?
I think best of the doctors can be found in ICU sometimes. After all, they are human beings. But yes, you see, criticizing something is something else. That's easier. But when you are producing it, when you're starting from point zero, when a blank paper is in front of you and you have to write the first word, that is very, very difficult. And doing it yourself, if I see a painting, I can, to some extent at least, appreciate the painting or find some fault in it and in its color scheme or structure. If you ask me to draw a line, I can't draw a straight line. So appreciating or assessing something is one quality, and it can be in some people, but to do it yourself is another thing, as you have said. I am only repeating what you're saying. So again, now you're on the test.
Khalid, you know that now this is a new, you're going to like walk the talk, as they say, and you're going to enter totally new turf and terrain. And of course, there are people, you know, we have prominent novelists and people in the world of literature in India and globally who have, you know, created like such large spaces for themselves. And this is your first foray into being a novelist yourself. Are you, is there some kind of fear, apprehension about the feedback that is going to come your way?
I don't think books are reviewed much nowadays. There are some papers which do it, and there will be trolls, there will be funny remarks on Amazon, and yeah, I can take it. Like I remember when Fizza was made, it was called bullshit, and Mr. Subhash Ghai gave it 2 stars, and so is Mr. Subhash Ghai can be a critic? Why can't a critic be a Mr. Subhash Ghai? Yeah. So in a manner of speaking. But I'd like to turn this over to Anil right now, and he used to get very furious with me with some reviews and wouldn't talk to me. I missed him during those days, but then we always patched up. So, do reviews hurt? Did mine?
So would you want some film people to review your novel?
Yeah, I mean, I'll get more hits for that, I'll get more sales for that, Mr. Mago will profit, and I'll be happy.
Shall I speak to Subhashji?
Oh, I don't think that's a word you will be whistling in very soon, but anyway.
Well, no, after Zoya actually, you know, Farhan, if they can, I'll be very happy with the reviews.
Oh God, you want Zoya to review your book? So really, are you ready for that? Javed Saab,
sure.
Can you just give a disclaimer to that?
If I can be ready for Subhash Ghai, I can be ready for anyone.
Okay.
You're not even a father.
AK, back to the question, that did his reviews hurt? And can you remember anything caustic he said about you?
Well, of course, there were quite a few films, of course. Which comes to my mind is Beta, and
which you won the Filmfare Award.
Which I won the Filmfare Award, so that is a film where he gave me a bad review. You know, he said, we called Beta Beti.
And I just said he was a feminist.
Yeah, and fortunately for me, I won the Best Actor Award, and the film was a huge success. And of course, Love Hai, you know, Love Hai, I remember, was quite devastating, and for Yashi, for all of us, because the review, what Khalid gave was not very positive, and he compared the film to one of Gulzar's house films. I remember it so well, and that was awesome. And of course, after I think many years, almost after 25 years, Khalid sent me a message saying I was wrong, because the film is very, very good film. So sometimes, you know, it's your state of mind, when you're watching the film, at that moment you feel, like for example, I've seen Joker, but there are few reviews, 99.9% reviews have been phenomenal, but there are few reviews which are not very positive, and that surprises me, because I love the film. So these things happen. So obviously now time has passed, so I've become much more thick-skinned where reviews are concerned, but earlier, when you start your career, you're quite sensitive. And there are certain films which you've really worked very, very hard. And you know the filmmaker and the entire team, the kind of effort they put in. And then you read the review and you feel a little upset. So these are two films I remember.
Yeah, about the
Khalid,
collection.
You would not like Lamhe?